I think my real interest, if I traced it back, was curiosity about the physical world, which is what physics is.
One might imagine, at least, that one's talking about nature when one's talking about the character of physical laws. But I don't want to talk about nature, but rather how we stand relative to nature now. I want to tell you what we think we know, and what there is to guess, and how one goes about guessing.
This is the piece of the equation which describes how the Higgs field acquires its value.
So welcome to episode number 55 of Physics Matter. So this monthly life science colloquium series brings together a global audience that is using this accessible science communication to emphasize capacity building in developing regions and the importance as well of the large-scale research infrastructure, such as the Sesame Light Source in Jordan. So for more than 4 years now, so it has been virtually a journey across the different continents, sharing and inspiring different stories. So visit our website, so our YouTube channel, and watch the past session. So this is really the possibility to feature real-world example of technology transfer, scientific application, addressing global challenge, and individual working towards a more sustainable future. So last month, so we have explored industrial perspective emerging as a spin-off from those discovery platforms like the Sesame Light Source or Electra in Italy. So it has been highlighting the transition from fundamental science to the real-world societal application. But today, we turn the spotlight to another important dimension, the societal perspective brought by the International Association of Students. So in our panel today, so I have with me Alan Hurd, who is from Los Alamos and a former chair of the Forum of International Physics, so like me. And we will be proudly supporting this series thanks to the FIP. And for my part, Christine Darve, I'm working at the European Spallation Source, and I'm also the chair for the Forum for the International Union of Pure and Applied Physics, the IAPS Working Group 14, so on accelerator science. So for the question and answer session, so we will be joined by Munia Lassiri, who is member at large of the FIP and also member of the African School of Fundamental Physics and Application. But today, so we have our invited speaker, so Niloofar Jokar, who is president of the International Association of Physics Students, the IAPS, not the same APS, but with an I as well. And you are a master student, so in theoretical physics in the University of Basel in Switzerland. So Niloofar was born in Iran and completed her undergraduate between the University of Tabriz and Isfahan University of Technology. So, but yet today, so it's a globalized world. So science knows no borders. So she quickly expanded her international experience through Activate, is kind of really important involvement as an executive committee in the IAPS, and where you have been taking some key leadership roles, such as event manager, vice president, before becoming the president. So in those different capacities, you have been organizing and contributing to European Commission initiative, and you played central role in organizing major global events, including this international conference on physics students, so the ICPS, and also the PLANCKS that you will describe a bit more, I guess. So you are also sharing the affiliated commission of physics students, the AC4, at this IUPAP, so this International Union of Pure and Applied Physics, and you're a member also of the Working Group 5 for Women in Physics. So advocating for the support of the advancement of young scientists. It's essential. So you are passionate about all those international collaboration, and you believe that science transcends borders, and you are free as well to go through those different perspectives that we will be listening. So you are dedicated to amplifying the voice of young scientists, ensuring so their ideas as well can shape the future of the physics community. So with a focus on inclusivity, so Niloofar is striving to create an equal opportunity for physicists from all backgrounds, so aiming to bring a more diverse, interconnected, and supportive scientific community. So we will hear your presentation about 30 minutes long, and after that, we will be eager as well to have our audience asking you more questions. So we can give you the screen now, and we'll be looking forward for the question and answer, where everyone can write the question in the little item below, or ask live later on.
Well, thank you so much, Christine, for that amazing introduction. I'm quite flattered. Thank you so much for inviting me on behalf of IAPS for this session here today. It's a great pleasure, and it's very exciting for us to share the objectives and missions of IAPS and the activities we do for the international community of physics students, basically. I suggest I'm supposed to share the slides myself, right?
Please.
Yes. Could you please confirm that you can see the slides well?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. So basically, I will just try to give a general overview about IAPS to you and introducing our association. We are an international nonprofit organization consisting of physics students and physical societies around the world, with the global goal of promoting global collaboration amongst this community. IAPS basically aims to empower physics students worldwide by supporting their academic and professional growth, and also representing their voice in international dialogues. Oh, sorry. Right. Every year, the terms in IAPS are annually updated, and that is done through a transparent and democratic voting procedure during our annual general meeting, during which our executive committee is elected. Here you can see the executive committee for the term 2024. I will just quickly give you an overview just to put a focus on the internationalism of our association. So there's me as a president who, as Christine mentioned, I'm from Iran, currently based in Switzerland. Our vice president, Gabriel, is from Costa Rica, currently located in Italy. Our secretary, Thibaut, he's from France and currently located in the US. 16, our treasurer, is from the UK. Our membership manager, Irene, is from Spain. Leonor, our events manager, is from Portugal. Elena, our outreach manager, is from Spain. Gabriel, our recruitment manager, is from he's currently located in the United Arabs, and Roberto is from Italy. How the story of IAPS began, it started with a small group of Hungarian physics students in 1986 who decided to gather together and organize something that we refer to as the International Conference for Physics Students. It was done in 1986, and that was the cornerstone of the formation of IAPS as the association that we know it today. So IAPS was officially registered and established in 1987, and ever since we have been continuing with our goals around the world. Our membership basically is categorized into three different groups. It is called, the first group would be territorial committee, the second group is local committee, and the third one is individual membership. So territorial committee refers to which was previously referred to as national committee. Basically includes all the physics students within a certain territory or country. And local committees are, as the name suggests, it includes a more local territory, and individual membership is provided to those physics students whose region is not already covered by a local or territorial committee. Here you can see a nice combination of the logos of all the members that we have in IAPS and all the countries that they represent. Currently, IAPS represents more than 100,000 physics students worldwide. That is through 40 territorial committees and 16 local committees, representing 75 countries around the world. Now I would like to give you an overview on the events that we do. Basically, we have two major events. The first one is PLANCKS, and it's a theoretical competition that we do every year. It's a very nice, it has a very nice blend of a program which represents a balance between scientific and cultural activities. And although the competition itself is within 4 hours during the event usually goes up to 4 to 5 days and has a conference type of structure to it, where students can benefit from several keynote speakers, panelists, poster sessions, and so on. PLANCKS 2024 was held in Dublin. It was hosted by the Institute of Physics as our territorial committee UK and Ireland, and it hosted 47 teams from around the world and 22 observers representing 34 countries worldwide. This is here, you can see a nice group photo of the edition last year. And our 2025 edition, which was held lately, quite recently in Barcelona in May, was hosted by the student group of the Spanish Royal Physics Society, as we recognize them as TC Spain. It was the first IAPS major event that was registered as an IYQ event celebrating quantum science and technology. And this event hosted 49 teams and 30 observers representing 28 countries around the world. We also had Dr. Anne Louis as one of the keynote speakers, which was a great honor. The next edition of PLANCKS will be held in Netherlands. Now, this is quite interesting for us because the first edition of PLANCKS was held in 2014 in Netherlands. So after a decade of PLANCKS, we are very happy to go back to this country as the birthplace of our event. Here you can see a photo of the first edition in 2014 with Dr. Stephen Hawking as one of the speakers. And we're very happy to go back to SPIN as the host organization for PLANCKS 2026. And we're expecting to host 50 teams and 30 observers. So if you're a physics student, definitely contact us and let us know if you're interested. We will guide you through the process. Usually with PLANCKS, these are the final stage of the competition. And every country holds a national preliminary, and once the ranking of the teams are settled, the top teams get to attend at the finals. Another one of our very interesting events is called the International Conference of Physics Students, the cornerstone of IAPS that I previously referred to. It's quite an interesting event because it gives you a unique experience of a week-long conference, which is not simply just a conference, but also on top of having scientific exchange, you get to have cultural exchange, explore career opportunities, share your research and your papers that you've done as a student, but also interact with your fellow IAPS members that come from very different backgrounds and celebrate the internationalism in IAPS. The last edition of ICPS in 2024 was held in Georgia, Tbilisi, in August, and it was hosted by the Georgian Association of Physics Students, STC Georgia. Here you can see the group photo, and it was hosted by the Free University of Tbilisi, and hosting 249 participants and 13 alumni representing 45 countries around the world within the IAPS community. In 2025, we're really hoping to be able to host this conference in Switzerland. The procedure in IAPS is basically 2 years ahead of time, and ICPS 2025 was supposed to be held in Novi Sad, Serbia, but unfortunately, due to recent political issues, the host had to withdraw their application, and we are currently pursuing the idea of organizing ICPS in Switzerland, hoping to host 500 participants. In the next edition for next year, ICPS is taking a step forward. And by that, I mean that it will be held in Morocco, which is quite an achievement for IAPS, because it will be the first time that IAPS holds an international conference of physics students or any other IAPS event in Africa. So that is quite a celebration. And we're very much hoping to welcome physics students from around the world for having the seats of 500 participants. Next to ICPS and PLANCKS, which are the IAPS major events, we also have other events and activities. Here I just showcase two of the most popular ones. The first one is IAPS to CERN, which is a 4-day excursion to CERN, allowing participants to visit the Large Hadron Collider under the ground, and also topping everything off with a nice visit to the UN headquarters in Geneva. And next to that, there is another very popular event of IAPS called the Industry Talks, where we try to shed light on the importance of industry and all the different paths, basically career paths that students can take after they finish their studies, whether they want to continue in academia or want to take a leap to industry world. And in 2025, of course, we aim to celebrate the International Year of Quantum and Quantum Science and Technology, and that is also the theme of the Industry Talk this year. You might have noticed that ICPS and PLANCKS and all the other events that I referred to might be quite of a bigger scale, and it doesn't come without organizing such an event cannot be happening without some prior experience. In order to encourage our member community to take that leap and organize those big events, we first encourage them to drive regional growth. And for doing that, we offer the IMAP grant scheme, which it means the IAPS Member Action Program grant scheme, which allows our committees in different countries to host smaller events. These are usually the events that host up to 50 students from that country. Sometimes there are exchange programs between the two committees, and they are quite engaging between our committees. And some of them are very, very well established, and they take place every year, and they have their own fans for sure. Next to the conferences and the competition that we do, we also value outreach activities highly. There are two main IAPS outreach activities. The first one would be the International Day of Light, which I suppose everybody already knows. It's a UNESCO initiative that celebrates the basically role of light and bright light-related sciences such as optics and photonics on May 16. And IAPS is definitely one of the organizations that has been celebrating this initiative throughout years. Next to that, we have another very interesting outreach activity, which is called IAPS School Day. This falls under a different category because all the events and activities that I introduced you to so far, they aim for university students. But School Day specifically targets high school students because we believe that we have to inspire the future scientists, and that impact begins in the early stages in schools. So through School Day, each committee organizes outreach activities through which they try to highlight the value of pursuing physics as a science, and They take these events, which are usually in the format of experimental physics, to different schools and different high schools, and try to encourage students to see the fun part of studying physics, basically. School Day each year has a theme. In 2024, the theme was crystallography, and in 2025, you guess it is going to be quantum science and technology. So next to IDL and School Day, which are the main IAPS outreach activities, IAPS also provides general outreach grants, again, as an extra effort to encourage our community to host different outreach-related activities, and making sure that all the different groups in IAPS are considered as an audience. And here you can see a photo of one of the very nice outreach events that was recently done in Nepal, and we have also upcoming events from TC Mexico. The next outreach step is going to be having video competitions, which will be done online. And also our amazing outreach manager is currently working on having a Women in Science workshop, which will be held in June. So if you're interested, please make sure to visit the IAPS website for it. JIAPS is the journal of IAPS. So it's a publication that we have in IAPS, and it basically includes articles written by students and by the organizers of all the IAPS events and activities that is published once a year and distributed usually during our big conference, ICPS. And it's a very nice way for us to keep everything in archive and just show everyone as our members what sort of activities were done in IAPS and also in the broader world. I would like to now introduce you to the collaborations that IAPS does as an international association. Here I included the logos on this slide from our partners. On the left, you can see the UN and UNESCO initiatives that IAPS supports, so namely the International Year of Quantum Science and Technology and the Earth Humanity Coalition, to which I will get very, very soon. But I would also like to take a moment to appreciate our partnership with IUPUB, the International Union of Pure and Applied Physics, of which we are the affiliated Commission 5. So we are the student section of IUPUB basically, and we are very happy to be able to be a part of that community as we have several shared objectives. So yeah, IAPS is recognized as AC5 in IUPUB, and we also have several IAPS volunteers representing IAPS in different working groups and commissions of IUPUB. As Kristen mentioned, I myself am active in Working Group 5, Women in Physics. And we also have representatives in commissions of physics education, as well as physics and Working Group Physics and Industry. There is, of course, EPS, the European Physical Society, which is a very long-term partner of IAPS. They have been supporting IAPS activities and initiatives for several years now, and we couldn't be more grateful. And we also, I must mention that as the IAPS EC, every single member of the IAPS EC live usually in a different country. We get to meet once a year. All of our meetings are done online, but the one time in the year that we meet, it is hosted by EPS at the headquarters, because IAPS and EPS have the same registered address. And so EPS kindly hosts our meeting there once a year, which is also something we highly appreciate. IAPS also joined the International Science Council as a member, and through that, we make sure that we represent the youth perspective in all the international and global dialogues. And there's also, of course, all the other partners that we are highly grateful for, and we're very happy to be able to share this moment with them. Now I would like to take a moment to just briefly address the support of IAPS for IVIQ. So IAPS proudly supports IVIQ as an endorsing organization. So in support of the International Year of Quantum Science and Technology, we have incorporated a quantum-related theme to all of our activities and events throughout the year. That's one of the key points that we have considered. And here you can see some photos from the IAPS representatives at the opening ceremony of IYQ, here with Dr. Lydia Burrito, and of course, as well with Christine. And it was through these events, IAPS really gets to network nicely with scientists from all around the world, and not also just scientists, but also policymakers, everyone who has a role in these dialogues. And in that networking sessions, we get to learn a lot from our colleagues, but also we get to represent the youth perspective in those discussions, which is of course, very important for us. Another one of the initiatives that IAPS is proudly supportive of is the International Decade of Sciences for Sustainable Development. Now, I'm sure that you already know that this was as a result of the success of the International Year of Basic Science for Sustainable Development, which was celebrated in the years 22 and 23. And right after that, the International Decade began, and we will continue to celebrate it until the year 2033. And the Earth Humanity Coalition was created last year in 2024 as in support and as a response to the International Decade. And in close collaboration with UNESCO, Earth Humanity Coalition aims for development of co-designed or transdisciplinary research for sustainable development. And they have memberships, and IAPS is one of the members. And I just wanted to take this moment to also encourage other organizations to review the activities of the coalition and also join us in supporting this magnificent initiative. So I would like to, I hope I didn't talk too much. I would just like to have this as like a conclusion slide, but allow me to also share something that was shared with me quite recently. One of the past presidents of EPS has kindly asked me to share an opportunity regarding double degree PhD programs that could be a very interesting opportunity for physics students around the world in having access to the facilities and the science education that might not be already available in their home countries. And it's a very interesting procedure, and we will, of course, share it with the IAPS community. But if you're in this session and you're interested to learn more about it, please don't hesitate to contact me, and I will be happy to share more information about that. In a nutshell, in IAPS, what we celebrate is scientific advancement, which of course could not be possible without international collaboration. So that is why international collaboration is at the core of our values in IAPS. And it of course could not be doable either without inclusion. And by that we mean true inclusion. In IAPS, basically, what we aim to create is a community where every physics student, everyone with a passion for physics and science can relate to and can feel like they belong to this community. Regardless of which country they're from or their cultural background, we celebrate our differences, and we celebrate our internationalism. And I think it's quite a nice thing to be celebrated every single day, and we're very proud to be a small part of that. And we also highly admire other organizations who take a step forward in that direction. For example, IAPS does a lot of impressive decision makings regarding to ensure that inclusion is in place. And when we're talking about science, we're not basically just addressing science as a privilege, but rather as a right for everyone to have all around the world. And so, for example, as I was referring to IUPUP, something that they have been doing for quite some time is a policy of free circulation of scientists, which is something highly valuable in IAPS as well, and is something that we always pursue in our activities and conferences. Or there recently new opportunity of providing IUPUB neutral affiliation, which assists with publishing papers or attending conferences where your initial affiliation might be restricted. So these are the just very brief examples that I wanted to refer to here, just as not only showing admiration towards those strategies, but also encouraging every other organization to take a step forward in that direction and help us to making sure that when we're talking about science, we're talking about science for all, and making sure that having access to science remains a right that is respected for all the students who have a passion anywhere in the world. Thank you so much for your attention.
Thank you so much for this very comprehensible talk. Excellent. So now we know much more where and how so students can engage so around the world. So thank you. And we have with us so Munia. So La Série was just connected. So thank you to have joined us, Munia. So you see, it's kind of the evolution. I mean, we have seen, so from also while Munia was just a PhD student, so this is when I've known her at the ASP. And so we can now connect a bit more for the early career that are some of them listening to us. And I guess a lot of students as well from also the question and the different aspect of the question raised. So you should put your question in the Q&A, and I will start maybe reading some of them indeed directly or live from India, so from Nihi Kapol. So she was asking the exact and the different step for the international applicant as well to join the IAPS. And is there a fee for this membership that are involved, or is it complementary? Additionally, so is the membership exclusive to students, or can it be as well for different professionals also? Can they become member?
Of course, that's a very great question. So basically, when we're talking about International Association of Physics Students, we are also a little bit flexible with that term. We also allow membership for students who study in majors that are close enough to physics. So for example, physics engineering could be considered as one of them, or biophysics, for example. And the procedure for membership is quite straightforward. So there is the, I can quickly share the IAPS membership page that they can visit. And there, what is available is a full list of all the countries that are already, should I put it in the webinar chat?
You can share your screen again, I think, if you want.
I think perhaps the link would be easier for them to follow.
Link,
But yeah, basically they can find a full list of all the IAPS committees in different countries. And if their country is already listed under one of those committees, it's very simple. They just have to contact that committee, or they can contact us and we can establish that contact for them. And by becoming a member of that committee, they become a member of IAPS. What is very, very important in IAPS, because our audience is basically physics students, we always tend to keep everything very affordable. So our membership fee are usually very, very low. As a committee, it's low anyways, and if individuals are meant to pay that membership fee, it varies from the country to country, because we have different factors, for example, for developing countries as opposed to first world countries. But altogether, this is the information that they can gain from their specific local or territorial committee. The membership fee is usually very, very affordable, and so is the participation fee in our conferences. So for example, for ICPS that I mentioned, it's a huge conference, so the budget can go up to usually 200,000 euros. But the registration fee never exceeds the amount of 200 euros per participant. It is one of the strategies that we attain to make sure that students can afford attending our conferences. I'm not sure if I covered all the questions, but
think, yeah, indeed, the part of the question was indeed for the fee that you asked for the different profile as well. So not only students, indeed, so it could be different member. And maybe are there some different rates as well for student, postdoc, or like if they're high school student, could someone, how young can you register? What would be the fee?
So that's something I should have mentioned. Basically, our membership includes physics students and physics-related major students in the level of bachelor, master, and PhD. Unfortunately, for high school students, we cannot offer a membership yet, but as I mentioned, there are some activities that they're considered as the main audience. So there is still some value for them to benefit from. And after the PhD is, if somebody wants to continue their PhD, 1 year after the last level, the last stage of their academic degree, they can still be a member. But after the 1 year timeline, they're considered as IAPS alumni. So our IAPS alumni are actually very, very young. They're all amazing people who were IAPS members during their academic path and now are either professors in some universities or they have found really great jobs in industry, and they often come back also as well to provide an advisory addition to our activities, which is something we very much value.
Great involvement. Very nice. So another question also from Nadi. So speaking and asking also, pardon, if you are also truly collaborating with UNESCO. So there is also the mention to this Women in Science. So what would be the benefits in participating? Are they kind of prize certificate or other form of recognition for the attendee or winner?
Yes, so recognition is always given through our events and activities. So just to maybe address the first question, in regards with collaboration with UNESCO, that is definitely something we're interested in. And recently we made some contacts through these opening ceremonies that we attended with representatives from UNESCO, and that I would say that is work in progress. Currently, we follow the initiatives that are celebrated internationally, but for specific collaboration between IAPS and UNESCO, I would say that is something that we're highly interested in, and we plan to pursue that in the very near future. And for the Women in Quantum workshop, it's basically to celebrate not only quantum science as we're in basically in the period for IYQ, but also putting highlight on the values that female scientists bring as an underrepresented group in physics that we thought to be a very perfect fit for this year as well.
Very good. And I will add also for the case of the UNESCO and IAPS. So we have we have restarted one webinar series. The first one was also with Anne Huillier on the 14th of April. And I will enter as well in the chat, so the connection as well for the 27th of May, where we will connect as well around the world. So the different persons who are interested in developing different research infrastructure and light source in Africa. So that could be as well a potential for students to connect. And there we can come back later to some different grant. So then we have another question also from Nidhi, so asking about the clarification as well for the PhD opportunity that you referred to. So is it funded by the IAPS?
No, it's not any original initiative from IAPS, but we're playing the role of sharing this interesting opportunity with you. It's basically to mainly to raise awareness of this opportunity that it can exist. So as far as I understand that, basically the students who are interested in this opportunity can first figure out if their university provides that kind of program. And if so, then it would be a process of them together with their supervisor to contact other potential supervisors and form a sort of collaboration for a double degree PhD that could be pursued.
Very good. And now we can maybe have Munya asking a question live, and then Alan.
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Christine, for having me, and thank you so much, Niloofar, for this inspiring presentation. Actually, I mean, well, it is like particularly exciting to see that the International Conference of Physics Students, ICPS 2026, will be hosted in Morocco. Which is like a historic milestone for the African participation in the IAPS. So in that, I would like to ask what like role does IAPS envisions for the African physics students input the planning and also active participation or in this event. And also, could this like conference also serve as a springboard to launch or strengthen national students chapters in African countries? We know like now there are only like 3 African countries are already represented on the national committees, included like Morocco, Tunisia, and Ivory Coast, and only 2 in local committee. So only Algeria and Cameroon so far. So, well, this is like, of course, a fantastic start. Like, but like, how can we build on this monumentum in order to ensure inclusion and also listing engagements across our continent?
Thank you so much for that great question. So that is a very, very important point. As I mentioned during the presentation, our process to choose our host for the major events, namely PLANCKS and ICPS, is a 2-year procedure. So it started last August, basically when we knew for sure that ICPS 26 will be held in Morocco. And ever since then, we have established very concrete strategies in terms of recruitment to reach out to other countries in the African region, to add them as committees in IAPS and basically expand our membership in those regions. I should say we also a lot of times receive support again from IUPAP, as one of their vice presidents, Eagle, is incredibly active in the African region. And so I guess what I'm trying to say is that we have that very much in mind, and we definitely want to every time we hold an IAPS event in a new location, that's one of our aims, to expand our members community as well. So that part is being done by us, but if you already can actively help from that side, or maybe have more contacts, we highly appreciate it, so you can reach out to us. The only rule that applies to participants for IAPS events is for them to be IAPS members, which, as I said, is a very, very smooth procedure. Of course, even if there's no committee in that region, they can join as individual members. That's also how I joined in IAPS back in the day. But of course, for an entire country, we do not want every student to join as an individual member. So our effort is basically to create committees there, and if you can also share some contacts with us, that would of course make the procedure much smoother and very great.
Thanks.
So Alan, you had a question too.
Well, Monia's question brings to mind another question that I didn't intend to ask, but I just have to. How many students or regular members do you have in steady state?
I'm not sure if I understand. Like, you mean in the executive board?
No, I mean in IAPS, is it all committee members now in the local countries, or is it individual members at the IAPS level?
There are definitely individual members in IAPS. As I mentioned, currently we're representing more than 100,000 students through our territorial and local committees, but there are some other countries in which we have individual membership. Yeah, so it's definitely possible.
Now I understand. Okay, and do you, so you have a very impressive list of partners and affiliates. How does an organization become a partner or an affiliate?
So that's a very good question, and I'm very happy to see you're interested. Basically, our partnership is done through an MOU, so a joint agreement between the two organizations. I must say that the structure of the MOUs and the basically aims of those are not necessarily the same for every single partner. It very much depends on the mutual goal that the two organizations have. For us, it's clear it's international collaboration to bring some values for physics students from all around the world. And that is usually more than enough for a common base for a collaboration with our partners.
It's a very sensible approach.
Yeah, for some of them, it can be in-kind support. For some of them, because IAPS is a student association, so you can imagine that our budget is not necessarily anything big. So we rely on the support that we can get from our partners, not as the main source, I would say. For example, for our activities, the majority of the support that is needed, specifically financially, is done through sponsorship. So that's a different case. But at the same time, there are some partners, for example, EPS and IUPAP, who also support our initiatives on a yearly basis, and their support is both financial and in kind. So I'm sorry, maybe I shouldn't be sharing like this much detail, but yeah, basically it can vary depending on the mutual goals of the two organizations.
Okay, so apparently the American Physical Society does not have an MOU currently.
Unfortunately not. So the case is that for an organization, it's always a question of like if there is area for the two organizations to join one another. Should they join as a member committee or should they join as a partner? For example, we have SPS, which is basically under AIP, and that SPS basically represents TC USA for us, so the Territorial Committee USA. And in that way, they are a member committee in IAPS, the same way that, for example, IOP in UK and Ireland is a member committee in that region. It's interesting that you should ask, because that is one of the open questions on the table for IAPS, because as you already know, SPS only includes undergrad students, and IAPS aims for students of all levels, bachelor, master, and PhD. So that is something that we wish to be able to address together with SPS and APS, to be able to include more students within our association.
Well, Christine, perhaps FIPS by itself could participate in an MOU.
Could participate. I think it would be something that we have to propose indeed to the current share line. So for sure,
Sure.
because I thought that the IAPS were in the past. You're sure they were not in the past as well, member, Niloofar?
For APS?
Yes, I thought.
Yes, I believe it was never.
Was never. Okay. So let's try to do that as well with the FIP. So we will try to see what is the best alternative and to write an MOU and have the FIP for sure, like sponsoring. So it would be exactly, the same kind of scope as well that we want to reach.
That
Okay.
would be good for us.
Now also looking at the different region or the different access. So we have a question from Fabrice Bado asking about the case of Burkina Faso. There was another question in India as well. Do you have different membership network, and what are the different rules or fee? If you have to summarize. Is it depending on the country?
Yes, the fee depends on the country. Basically, it varies. There's a factor for the developing countries that is considered. Also, there are some discounts that are applicable. For example, if it's the first year that a committee joins, there is some. I'm sorry, I don't have the right number in my mind right now, but I suppose it's something around 50% discount that is applicable to them. But yeah, in general, even the full amount of the membership fee is not anything considerable. I'm sure you can also find the information if they're interested to do the math for their specific country. They can find information on the IAPS website on how the membership fees are calculated. But yeah, basically, in order to join, they should first search to see if there's an existing committee in that would include their university or their city or their country. If so, they should contact them, or they can contact us and we will help them in that process. If their university is not in any way represented in any of those committees, there are two options. They can either join us as an individual member, or they can maybe find some more friends and contact us, and then we can guide them through the process of forming a new committee in that region. In terms of network, that's usually how it is done. Every country, every committee basically has their own independent structure, I would say. So when we're referring to these committees as like TC Spain, TC UK and Ireland, all of them have their own internal thing. They're not only IAPS committees, but also they have other activities that obviously they do throughout the year. And they provide a certain different type of network. But what IAPS does is bringing back together all of that community together through our events. But also, it doesn't end there. We have some online activities, some basic ones. For example, we have a Discord channel where all of our members can join, and there's simple things as just chatting with your fellow IAPS members, or having some online events that we refer to as coffee chats, where people just join online and just share their experiences and stories. Is somewhat on the informal side, but in terms of community building, it has proven to be very effective. So we continue that.
Okay, very nice. So another question also from Suja Vatkov, asking as well for those opportunity for this internship program with undergraduate or postgraduate student in physics. Could it be, if it's not, like as you said, already explained for the PhD, maybe some in-kind participation? So that could be something that would count?
I'm not sure by internship what they refer to. What we do is definitely sharing. So a lot of times we receive a lot of opportunities for internship or any sort of open positions that we are asked to pass on to our members. IAPS on its own does not provide a separate internship scheme, unfortunately, not yet. But yeah, I'm not really sure what this question is in reference to.
So it's mainly to try to understand if there are some internship opportunities. So that was the question, but I think that you answered that there is none. So that's one of the things. So the point is rather to put a network and connection between people who could demand and some that could be available, and
Yes.
potentially in kind as well. So this kind of in kind could be, for instance, for them to support the IAPS with different activity, and you are doing a lot, or proposing new ideas.
Yes, so a lot of times we also volunteer to assist other organizations with the events that they are holding. So they're not necessarily IAPS events, but IAPS can be a part of that organization process to provide more support. And in the same way, we also receive usually what our motto is basically for physics students by physics students. So we are quite proud of that and like to do stuff as much as possible on our own. But of course, there are sometimes that some challenges arise, and in those cases, we always refer to the in-kind support that we can get from our partners. In terms of internship, again, as you also mentioned, we can act as like that bridge to share those opportunities with them. Or also a lot of times they might need a contact, or they might need certain certificates to showcase some activities that they did in IAPS that can help in that process for them. But IAPS on its own does not provide any specific internship.
Yeah, I think that's important also to be a mediator, but not, I mean, to have the responsibility of all those additional financial support. So, Alan, you had a...
Well, yeah, this internship question raises another issue. A lot of students, at least in the US, will take a gap year or a gap 2 years to do an internship. Can you have continuous membership in IAPS through, say, gap years?
So would it be like between the 2 degrees, or during like a pause during a certain degree?
It's usually, at least at the national labs, it's between bachelor's and master's, but it can also be between master's and PhD. And it, you know, we consider an intern at Los Alamos to have a 2-year allowance to be categorized as a student, and so a 2-year gap.
I see. Yeah, that's a very good question. So based on the IAPS charter, once the degree is completed, if that individual is no longer a student, 1 year after their degree, they're still considered a member. So in this case that you're referring to, it would be 2 years after. But doing an internship, I mean, the common sense says that it's not like a completely different path. So maybe that is something that we can discuss and have like an exceptional case for the IAPS membership. Currently, the structure does not allow this. But then again, our structure is there to serve the goals of IAPS, which is including students all around the world. So if that requires some adjustments, we would be happy to discuss it. Because
Well,
to me,
actually, your current policy may be just right. You know, allowing 1 year gap is covered by your current policy. So that probably covers 80% of the cases.
it usually does, yeah. I must say we've never received any complaints in that regards. But then again, if it's needed for a certain country, of course, we would be open to discussions.
And we have from Xiaomi as well a similar question speaking about internship opportunity or visiting student program for international students. So I think you have covered that question as well.
What they can perhaps like attending, one of the things I mentioned was the IMAP grants that we provide. So that's a grant that we provide to the committees to organize events for IAPS members. And there, although that event, for example, if the event is Lights of Tuscany held in Italy, the participation can still be international. So those students can still benefit from those. A lot of times we have exchange programs between the countries, and all of these programs are very, very rich. They all include usually panel discussions, poster sessions, student talks, keynote speakers, and a lot of cultural exchange activities, which are really, really interesting. So I really encourage people who are interested to also take a look at those and consider them, because they can sometimes propose an opportunity that maybe they didn't think of.
Nice. So just a question before with so Shurja as well for potential so people who cannot travel for long distance. So do you have online conference as well and possibility to attend maybe some hybrid event? Do you enable?
Right. So for example, I mentioned the industry talk is one of the events that we always do online, or the Women in Quantum workshop. Every year, depending on what is the most popular topic, we have different themes in our events. For our main activities, which are PLANCKS and ICPS, well, during the COVID time, obviously we had to go online. So we had 2 editions of ICPS held online and 1 edition of PLANCKS. And after that, we continued this strategy of continuing to have the at least the parts that we can have as hybrid, basically. So although it's not possible to have the entire conference showcase as hybrid, but usually for the keynote speakers and the panelists, those are the parts that we always make available online. So in case some participants it's not possible for them to travel at the moment, or they have some sort of restrictions, they could at least benefit from those rich scientific parts of the program.
Very useful then. Very nice. So Munia, you have a hand up.
Yeah, actually, what about the mentorship? Like, does the IAPS or any of
the
its
internet
partners?
is not too bad. Can you hear?
Can you hear me now?
I can hear
Yes.
you. Mm-hmm.
All right, perfect. So my question is like, what about the mentorship? Does IAPS or any of its partners have a structured mentorship program in place to support physics students? Particularly, I mean, those like from the underrepresented regions like Africa. I believe like the mentorship like can be the first like step toward like having an internship, like because like one part of the African School of Physics program is that we do also have a mentorship, and a few of our alumni get benefit from that and get a chance like to visit like some of the US international lab like Argonne, Fermi and also Brookhaven. So I'm not sure if you already have that.
So mentorship directly in IAPS or through the events, like in conferences?
In IAPS as part of its programs.
Okay, so deliberately in IAPS, we do not provide that. It's because what we do basically center everything around is organizing and preparing and providing those opportunities to our members. But that's definitely one part of the activities that we consider in the programs whenever we're organizing a conference. Of course, it's not anything long term, but that's one part that basically focuses on the value of networking. So although it can be basically more in the format of a workshop, I would say, or a panel discussion, initiating a certain discussion or topic that could be related to mentorship, and then making the network and making the connection between that expert in that area and the student. And so for them, a lot of times it creates opportunities that they can pursue.
I see. Okay, thank you.
It looks like Christine is
Yeah,
having some
Christine
technical
has,
difficulties.
yes.
I just wanted to note that Amy Flatten from the APS headquarters was listening in. She just had to leave for another event. So that's a good sign. She's the Director of International Affairs at APS. There's a nice question from Nidhi Gopal. And she's asking what topics or subject areas will be covered in Women in Science workshop.
So it's basically for this year. It's a very good question. We did one edition of this event actually in 2023. And that was more of a broader physics perspective. But in 2025, it's going to be mainly quantum based. So the main focus will be on the female contributors in the field of quantum.
So there would be a mentorship component to that, I would think.
I would say so. I'm not the main person in charge of organizing the event, but I would be happy to address it with our outreach manager and events manager who are currently working on that project.
I have a
And sorry, but what I do recommend is that just contacting us. I will make sure to leave the email and all the contact information after the session if they have any specific question about a project that may not be answered in this session, or I may not have all the full knowledge on, and we would be very happy to refer them to the right person in that area to make sure we provide the best answers.
I have a somewhat related issue about the content. What is the nature of the PLANCKS competition? What are you competing for? And in what arena are you competing?
You mean what is the structure of the exam?
Yeah. Yeah, is there a grand research question that each team tackles, or what happens?
So that's a very good question. We have the structure is basically included in what we call as PLANCKS rules, and you can find a document on the IAPS website later on if you're interested. Generally speaking, the exam is basically a 4-hour exam, and as I mentioned before the finals, every country organizes their own PLANCKS preliminaries, and they provide a ranking, and depending on how many teams they get to send out to the finals, they send out their top teams for competing in the finals round. For the competition itself, it's 4 hours, and there is basically between 8 to 12 questions in different areas of physics.
Okay.
And people who attend the competition could only be bachelor or master students. So PhD students cannot participate in PLANCKS because it would be already below their level, basically. The teams are consisting of 3 to 4 students, so they get to choose what sort of composition they want to go for, whether they prefer all of them to be bachelor students or maybe half and half. That's completely their choice. But what's important is that they have to do a certain level of good performance in the national preliminaries to be able to make it even to the finals, which is already quite a big achievement, I would say. And yeah, during that 4-hour process, they work on the questions as a team, and the questions are not necessarily like the regular exercise questions that we find like final exams of our lectures, I would say. They're designed to be more on the creative side. So there's not usually like just like a one way to approach the question. It's more about like how creative the team can be in approaching that question. And then their creativity and their solution is graded, and then of course the team with the top grades make it to the top of the ranking. That's how the structure works.
Okay, so it's a team Olympiad.
Basically, yes.
Now I understand. Very good.
Well,
Yeah, Monia, did you have a question?
yeah, same. Christian has like some network issue, and she might not be able to reconnect. So yeah, maybe we can
I
go
was
ahead
afraid of
with
that.
we can go ahead with the questions. We have a question from Mustafa. He was asking, are there strategic partnerships with the universities and research institutions in Africa to support capacity building for physics students? You know that like more of questions like coming from African
Which is
students,
very
like
great.
because like they are
It's very, very great, because I have to admit, you know, I'm not really sure, maybe like, please excuse me if it's not correct, but I think I'm the first non-European president of IAPS. So although our association is international, everybody really values that in IAPS, but we have to admit that the majority of the level of activity is basically usually in certain regions of the world. And that's something that we're trying to tackle while embracing the current level of engagement that we have in IAPS, also increasing the level of activity in other parts of the world and expanding our membership truly. So we're very happy about these questions. Yeah, basically, when we're discussing universities specifically, our brain immediately goes to creating either a local committee or hopefully a territorial committee that could include the physics students in that region. So that's how we would be interested in. And again, they can have their own independent structure as long as they accept the IAPS regulations and values, and the collaboration can be formed. We would be more than happy to do that.
awesome. Thank you so much. Maybe we do have another question.
Well, I have
So
one.
there's okay, please go ahead.
What fraction of your members are female?
Oh, that's a very good question. I don't think I can directly answer that right away, because our membership is in the way that we do not have access to like a giant database where we can know like exactly what individuals are our members. For example, when we want to confirm membership for the participants of a certain IAPS event, we always refer to their affiliated commission to confirm that they are indeed a member at the moment. So this is the very interesting statistics that we are actually currently working together with our committees to gain from them to have a good answer. But based on the participation of the events, if I may share with you, I believe in the last PLANCKS in May, it was something around 45% female participants, which was
Excellent.
very good.
Yes.
Of course,
Yeah.
it doesn't show necessarily the participation, and of course, it very much varies from country to country. But yeah, that's the good number that I can share at the moment, and we're of course working very hard to get more clear statistics, because that's also very helpful for all the organizations to know what exactly we're really dealing with here and how we can if we're really doing good, if there are areas that we need to improve. So
Okay, I believe Thibault is your treasurer.
he's our secretary. And
Secretary, yeah, he
I'm assistant.
confirms your appraisal here, that you're the
Okay.
first non-European.
That's good. So another question to you, Niloofar. I mean, someone asking, just curious, is all IAPS decision taken by you as a president, or there is a democratic process?
No. Oh no. We probably do way too many votes than needed. We always try to be on the safe side. No, of course, the executive committee is in charge of the day-to-day decision making, of course. But every year, as I referred to previously, we hold an annual general meeting during which the executive committee gives a full, transparent report of all the activities, all the decisions that were made. And it's got a quite a procedure to just organize that meeting, so everybody takes it very seriously. And then that executive committee is evaluated based on their performance, and all the members who all the committees basically are represented by 1 or 2 delegates in that meeting, and they have voting rights, and they have all the right to question about the smallest details that we are meant to share in a very transparent way. So no, everything is indeed done in a transparent, democratic way. And in the decision making in the EC itself, of course, we respect the areas of one another. So one person is more, for example, if it's a finance matter, I rely on our treasurer, and everybody else does the same. But all the main decision making is, of course, done through vote. So our EC, although we live in different countries and different time zones, for example, Thibault lives in the US. So that's quite a different thing for us. But we meet every 2 weeks to discuss all the EC related points in IAPS, and the meetings are also open to our members. So if they're interested, they can join and just have like a very close look at what is exactly happening.
Yeah, that's fantastic. I think we don't have any more other questions.
What is the term for the presidential line? Do you serve 1 year, or do you serve a past president's year? What happens?
So as an official EC position, we have just president. We don't have president designate or past president. We recently added the position of past president, but it's not an official EC title, I would say. It's more like to help with like a smoother transfer of information from the past presidency to the new one. That is something that we keep like going back and forth about, because our terms are 1 year and obviously it's too short. But at the same time, it can be too long for us if we want to extend that, because at the end of the day, this is volunteer work and all of our members are students, and we have different timelines and different projects that we each work on. So if we did think about, or I would say, yeah, it's still on the table. Every now and then we just circle back to that idea that maybe it would be a good idea to expand our terms to 2 years, or having like more like extra lines added to the presidency. But unfortunately or fortunately, because we're all physics students and we have a lot of other commitments, it would just make it way more difficult for us to manage the EC elections in that way.
Mhm.
But usually our EC members, some of them usually they tag along. For example, for me, it's my 3rd year on the executive committee. I started as events manager, then 2nd year as events manager and vice president, which really gave me a good idea of what I could expect from this role. And then now this term as a president. And our past president, who is Cyrus Walter, he also served as a president for 2 years. So usually for the higher leadership positions, people tend to tag along.
Necessarily. I mean, obviously, there is a lot going on in IAPS, and it's obvious you've gotten your arms around everything that's going on, so that takes time. One of the things that you mentioned was, I believe, help with visas or access into other conferences. Can you say more about that program?
Yes, of course. So every year, almost for both ICPS and PLANCKS mainly, because they are the ones that we have like the most international participation for. We always have this challenge that one or two committees reach out to us and they have severe issues, whether it's in terms of simply receiving an appointment from that certain embassy or all the extra documents that they need, and they of course have like a shorter timeline compared to other participants. And these are just like some extra steps that we face as we move forward. And now I'm actually very proud, because now like this is one of the key points. Every time when we're discussing with a new potential host for our events, there are certain categories of areas basically that we cover, which is like, where is the event going to be? How are you planning on covering the expenses? All of these like important things. And since a few years ago, I would say the discussion of visa has also been in that list. So that is important, that all the organizers already have that in mind, that they should be mindful of the challenges that their participants can face and all the different ways that they can provide support. And of course, like it varies very much. For example, a strategy that works last year doesn't necessarily work this year, and vice versa. But we're exploring around this. For example, this year for PLANCKS 25, what we found to be very useful is that the organizing committee in Spain contacted the embassies, and that helped the process a lot. And of course, the organizing committee was also like very much on the top of their emails to make sure if a certain team requires more documentation, whether it's an invitation letter or in some embassies require specific separate documents for accommodation, where are the participants supposed to stay. All of these like details that usually doesn't come to mind when you're thinking about organizing an event. All of these things are becoming more and more important when in our discussions with different organizing committees. And yeah, it's also very interesting to see how creative they are becoming, because for example, with the strategy of contacting the embassies that it worked with Spain, it wouldn't work out with another country, I would say. So that's one of the challenges for sure every time. And that's also something that we always try to address in every time that we attend general assemblies of our partners, for example, discussions with IAPS or in the International Science Council General Assembly, which took place earlier in January. That was one of the key discussions. Like if we're really discussing it and wanting to have inclusive inclusion and having every student have a fair chance to attend a certain conference or use a certain opportunity, we have to be able to and prepared to provide that kind of support that they need. It's not just saying, okay, so we organize an event, here you go, attend if you can. You have to just be mindful of like what the challenges can look like for any sort of participant from different parts of the world. So that's one of our goals now. And
So
I
which
suffered a lot in terms of visa issues. Every now and then I cannot like attend a meeting or a conference because I hold just one of the least valuable passports in the entire world. Yeah, I mean, the most important thing is that for us, the value is to provide the same opportunities and values to every single one of our members without any sort of maybe discrimination would be like a too big of a word, but making sure that everybody gets a fair chance is our priority.
So which other criteria are you like taking into account in selecting the host country beside
What criteria we keep in mind?
yes.
Yeah, so that is a job that falls under the category of under the responsibility of our events manager. And basically the process is that the host of the events are selected or elected 2 years in advance. And by that time, during the annual general meeting, same as the EC elections, and by that time, they should have already worked on a bid. So there are some regulations in the IAPS, some points in the IAPS regulations that they can follow that clearly explains what sort of information they should have in mind in creating a bid. But they usually, a certain committee shows interest in hosting the next edition of ICPS or PLANCKS, and then they contact the EC, specifically the events manager, and then they, together with the events manager, work on that potential bid where they receive guidance from the EC side on like how to make that bid more realistic and stronger, evaluating to see if that idea could actually work or not, because a lot of times students can be very interested, but unfortunately the underlying foundations don't necessarily work out. That is why we try to encourage them to first start with IMAP events and outreach activities, because they're smaller and they give more of an idea of like what it means to organize an event like that. But yeah, that's basically the thing. And the main key information that they have to have in mind is having a provisional budget and a list of potential sponsors that could cover that, a number of participants, a host university, a group of organizing committees, accommodation where the students are going to stay, their plan for catering, and a provisional program for the event. These are the key important areas that they should keep in mind when sending a bid. And then they propose that to the GM. And if they're lucky, they get elected, and then they have 2 years ahead of them to now like dive deep in it and organize that event. It's quite a long process, and it requires a lot of commitment, especially knowing that, again, we're talking about students who also have a lot of other commitments, but it's very, very amazing to see that they remain committed throughout this time, and the results is always very beautiful.
And the host country should be a member of the IAPS, or like
Yes, they
as a requirement.
Right. They should be
I
a
see.
member of IAPS, and usually we would again encourage them not to start with a major event, like a big event, but taking baby steps to also become familiar with how the IAPS structure works. And in doing so, the EC is responsible for providing all the guidance and support that is possible. There's also some other kinds of financial and a lot of in-kind support that is provided by the EC. So I really encourage for the countries, if they're not already an IAPS member country, to consider that and contact us.
Yeah,
Monia,
that's
did you see the question from Kitevi Asamagai? He says, there was an MOU between IAPS and the African School of Physics at one time, and apparently it lapsed because the term was only 2 years. And what is the process of continuing extending existing MOUs or an expired MOU?
Well, that is a very specific case. Again, it very much depends. I assume that was what the agreement of that time was. Usually when we sign an MOU, we try to go for a longer term, or like not having a termination date. Yeah, so basically I think what they were considering, probably there was like a trial round, and I'm not really sure what year that refers to, so I'm not sure what sort of challenges they might have.
21 through 23, according to his note. Yes,
Okay.
it does seem a little bit odd, but perhaps the African School of Physics was itself was not chartered through past 2023. I don't know.
I'm not really, to be honest, I wasn't a part of that, so I would not have the sufficient knowledge on telling you exactly what could have happened. But usually IAPS aims for having long-term partnerships.
It makes sense.
Unless like it's a certain requirement that comes from that partner to go for a trial round, and it can be several things. But in all the MOUs, you can imagine that there are terms for both organizations on what their responsibilities would be. So hopefully we can try again.
Yeah, sounds like
Yeah,
someone
maybe
just
we can discuss this offline if we can make a good partnership.
If you see another question, we can
It's like coming
continue for a little.
from the chat or from Q&A, because the one from Kitivi I did not.
Kitevi was in the chat.
I see. Okay, that's why I missed that. Let's see if they do have other questions in the chat.
Well, it's been a very good tour it's a tour de force, actually, this presentation. And we're very lucky to have IAPS present today to Physics Matters. It's I do hope that additional opportunities occur for IAPS through this presentation. You've had a good audience throughout. We were well above 70 participants at one point.
That's very great. Thank you so much. It's definitely has been a great pleasure and honor for us. So thank you again for inviting IAPS for this session. And yeah, we look forward to receiving more interest from you. So whether you're a member or not, do contact us. Our committee is usually very generous with their time, so we would be happy to also sit in a meeting with you and address any sort of questions you might have about IAPS prior joining, or if you want to join and you don't know where to start your activity as a committee, we're always more than glad to provide that information.
Super.
Or if you would be interested in joining as a partner.
And I got a WhatsApp message from Christine. They have a massive power outage at ESS. So not only
Yeah.
is the electricity down, but the cell phone service is also down.
That's
So,
very helpful.
well, I don't know if there's an administrative person listening in who can stop the recording, but I think if we end it, it'll automatically stop and save, I hope. So thanks again.
Yeah, it is already recording, so I hope it will be saved as, yeah.
Any
So
last
thank you.
words, Maria?
Yeah, thank you so much, Niloofar, for this nice overview, and thanks all for your engagement with us today. And Christine told me to mention that the next month we will have Professor Rajat Sharqawi al-Mosley, and the webinar will be about from nuclear physics to medical impact. So that will be on next month on June 26th. So yeah, thanks all, and have a great day.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye bye.
Bye.